In 1900, a Greek sponge diver surfaced from the Aegean Sea and reported finding a pile of rotting corpses on the ocean floor. What he had actually found was a Roman-era shipwreck, and buried inside it was a device so mechanically sophisticated that nothing comparable would be built again for over 1,400 years. The wreck lay 45 meters below the surface near the small island of Antikythera, in the channel between Crete and mainland Greece. Divers from the island of Symi had spotted it while sheltering from a storm in October 1900. When the Greek government dispatched a naval vessel the following year, what they pulled up from the seabed stunned the entire archaeological world. Over 10 months, divers recovered bronze statues, marble sculptures, pottery, coins, and glassware, an entire Roman luxury cargo. One diver died during the operation. 2 others were permanently paralyzed by decompression sickness. But among everything brought to the surface was a single corroded lump of bronze, roughly the size of a shoebox, that no one could identify or explain. The lump was transported to the National Archaeological Museum in Athens and largely ignored for 2 years. Then in 1902, archaeologist Valerios Stais noticed that the object had split open during drying, and visible inside were what appeared to be precisely cut interlocking gears. He proposed it was an ancient astronomical clock. The scientific establishment dismissed him and moved on. For the next 5 decades, the fragments sat in storage. Then in the early 1950s, physicist Derek de Solla Price began the first rigorous scientific examination of the device. He X-rayed the fragments, mapped every visible feature, and spent more than 2 decades piecing together what the mechanism actually did. His 1974 paper, titled Gears from the Greeks, would finally force the world to pay attention, but what he found was only the beginning. Price identified at least 30 interlocking bronze gears inside the corroded fragments, each cut with precision that implied advanced mathematics and specialized bronze working tools. The device carried multiple dials on its front and back faces, each connected to separate gear trains. His conclusion: it was a fully functional analog computing device for tracking astronomical cycles, unlike anything else known from the ancient world. But inscriptions hidden deeper inside remained completely unreadable, and those inscriptions held the real answers. In 2005, an international consortium called the Antikythera Mechanism Research Project arrived in Athens with equipment never before applied to the fragments: a high-resolution 3D surface scanner and a microfocus X-ray computed tomography machine, so large it had to be specially transported to the museum. The CT scans they produced over the following months would expose things hidden inside that bronze for 2,000 years. The CT images did not merely confirm Price's gear count, they exceeded it. At least 37 gears were now visible, possibly more. More remarkably, the scans revealed thousands of characters of Greek text micro-inscribed on the inner surfaces of the device, letters less than 2 millimeters tall. An instruction manual, engraved directly into the bronze itself, naming specific astronomical cycles by their precise Greek technical terms. The back face held 2 large spiral dials. The upper tracked the Metonic cycle, a 19-year period after which the moon's phases return to identical calendar dates, allowing a user to project lunar events years into the future with accuracy. The lower spiral tracked the Saros cycle, 18 years and 11 days, the interval at which solar and lunar eclipses repeat in the same geometric sequence. This device could tell its owner exactly when the next eclipse was coming. A smaller subsidiary dial on the back tracked the 4-year Olympiad cycle, the schedule of the ancient Panhellenic Games. The inscription identified 4 specific festivals by name: the Pythian, Isthmian, Nemean, and Olympic Games. This was not purely astronomy. It was a civic calendar mechanized into the same instrument. Whoever owned this device needed to track both the movements of celestial bodies and the social schedule of the entire Greek world simultaneously. The front face presented a deeper puzzle. Price had identified solar and lunar tracking dials, but the CT data revealed additional gear trains far too complex to be explained by the sun and moon alone. Researchers began to suspect the front display also showed the real-time positions of the 5 planets visible to the naked eye: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. proving the gear arrangement capable of doing that would take another 16 years of work. In 2021, a team from University College London, led by Professor Tony Freeth, published a landmark paper in the journal Scientific Reports. Drawing on the CT data combined with newly translated text from the front cover inscription, they proposed a complete mechanical reconstruction of the front Cosmos display, a system of nested concentric pointers, each representing a different celestial body, all driven simultaneously by a single gear train. According to the UCL model, turning a single hand crank on the side of the device simultaneously updated every output: the sun's position in the zodiac, the moon's phase and position, the predicted date of the next eclipse, the current Olympiad year, and the real-time positions of all 5 visible planets. The entire known cosmos, mechanized in bronze, small enough to hold in 2 hands. The device's inscribed text used a Corinthian dialect and referenced Corinthian colonies in Sicily, evidence pointing strongly to either Syracuse or the island of Rhodes as the place of manufacture. Rhodes in the 2nd century BC hosted the greatest school of astronomy in the ancient Greek world. The astronomer Hipparchus, who worked on Rhodes until around 120 BC, had developed the very mathematical models that the mechanism's gear ratios precisely encode. The Roman writer Cicero, writing around 54 BC, described 2 devices taken by the general Marcellus from the sack of Syracuse in 212 BC. Instruments made by Archimedes that showed the movements of the sun, moon, and planets. Archimedes died in that siege. The Antikythera Mechanism's construction date overlaps with Archimedes' era, and its mathematical principles align with his surviving astronomical writings. No direct evidence connects him to this device, but none rules it out either. The ship carrying the mechanism went down between roughly 70 and 60 BC, based on coin dates and pottery styles in the cargo. It was sailing westward, almost certainly toward Rome, carrying luxury goods for wealthy buyers. By the time it sank, the technology used to build the mechanism was already at least a generation old, and it would not survive much longer. After the Antikythera Mechanism, no mechanically comparable device appears anywhere in the historical or archaeological record for over 1,400 years. The next gear-based instruments of similar complexity emerge in medieval Islamic and European clockwork in the 13th and 14th centuries AD. The ancient Greeks had independently solved the problem of mechanizing astronomical motion, and then the solution vanished completely. The surviving fragments, 82 pieces in total, are held at the National Archaeological Museum in Athens. Researchers estimate they represent roughly 1/3 of the original complete device. The remaining 2/3 are still somewhere at the wreck site, 45 meters below the Aegean surface. Multiple expeditions over the decades have recovered additional artifacts from the site, and researchers believe more fragments of the mechanism itself may still be waiting in the silt. Here is what the evidence confirms without ambiguity. Between approximately 150 and 100 BC, craftsmen in the ancient Greek world built a fully operational analog computer from bronze, capable of predicting solar and lunar eclipses, displaying the positions of all 5 visible planets, and calculating every major Greek festival cycle simultaneously. This required advanced mathematics, precision manufacturing, and mechanical engineering that the rest of the world would not independently achieve for over a millennium. The Antikythera Mechanism does not prove ancient civilization was uniformly advanced. It proves that technological knowledge can appear, reach extraordinary heights, and then disappear almost without trace, leaving behind a single corroded lump at the bottom of the sea. The question researchers keep returning to is not how one device like this was built. It is how many others existed, and what destroyed every last one of them. Tell us in the comments. Do you think this knowledge was deliberately lost, or simply forgotten when the people who held it died?